How you doing, guys? I'm Mr. Nolan, and welcome to Monsters and Mazes, a solo RPG, actual play. I'm gonna say program. Experiment's probably closer to the mark than anything else. Okay. As you can tell by the title of the video, this is day one of the Dungeon23 challenge. Now, the Dungeon23 challenge was put out by Sean McCoy, the creator of Mothership RPG. The idea being that you create a single dungeon room every day for 365 days. So it's roughly seven rooms a week and one level a month for 12 months. 365. You get the idea. The whole idea is that it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be relatively simple. You know, you're not supposed to get a little too. You're not supposed to make it complicated. Although because I mean, after all, it's a single room each day. Now I know that there are many individuals currently doing this who started early, who have kind of created already massive amounts of information, and that's sort of not the idea. Let me kind of give you an idea. That's from the man himself. He says, don't overthink it. Don't make a grand plan. Just sit down each day and focus on writing a good dungeon room. That's it. After all, I mean, what is the old adage? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Generators are your friend, which we'll be using. Randomize the monster treasure, whatever you need. He gives some of his own links. I'll be using old school essentials for most of, I guess, the system, as well as utilizing first edition AD&D's Appendix A, the random dungeon generation, for most of this. If you can't think of anything to write, just write empty room. Well, I don't have that issue because I don't have to think about this. All I have to do is just roll some dice and see what happens. Well, yeah, and it goes 365 rooms written like 3 orcs, 25 gold pieces is better than 5 rooms written like, in this beautiful hand-carved obsidian room sits 3 orcs arguing over a dice game. 25 gold pieces sit on the table, each of them, and yada yada. The goal is the finish line. Just get to the finish line. That's it. All right. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting is because I've been wanting to do kind of a solo RPG. This, and one of the things that came about was whenever I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. It was a good catalyst, right? You don't really need a lot. I actually have too much at the table, more or less. But what you know, it doesn't matter. You can have any kind of markers, any kind of like. I'm using, I guess they call them stand-ups, but they're also called pawns for characters and monsters and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you could just easily use, chess pieces. If you don't have fancy markers, Crayola, water washable, which is fine. Okay, you don't need to have now. Ideally, for somebody who's just planning this, I'm actually going to be playing through as a solo adventure, utilizing characters, monsters. That way you can actually see at least not only how to build this one room at a time, but how to play it as a solo player. Because think about it, if your characters, they get into the, inside the dungeon, however they do that, they can't have the foreknowledge of what's going to happen next. So you can't have that foreknowledge either. So the easiest way is to go through a procedure on how to build that dungeon one room, a single room at a time, and progress that way. Now, Ideally, I'm going to be breaking it up, so you're looking at probably 365 videos on Mighty Killing. But at least you'll get the idea. I may do, like maybe after this week, I'll do it weekly. That way, but at least you'll see, I'll film each day and then compile it into a single week. We'll see, depending on how much editing is required. Hopefully, not a lot. All right. So, without further ado, before I get into the fun part, you don't need a fancy journal, although admittedly it's kind of cool. But the idea is that you fit everything in a journal. You don't need reams and reams and reams and books and books and books and notebooks and all this kind of stuff. Things to write freaking stories and all that kind of. It's all supposed to fit in these little spaces right here. You know, I write what it is going on in whatever room, and then the next one, and the next one. If you see the example that he gives in his post, I'll link his actual, like his page. That way you can kind of get a little more into it. He showcases the small, and it's probably about maybe like half this, about that much, right? So it's a small, roughly billfold size notebook. And it's all supposed to fit within those pages. Ideally, what you end up is with like 52 one-page dungeons, each of which those dungeons have 7 rooms, if you really want to think of it that way. It's not really complex, and it's not. It's as complex as you want to make it. My suggestion is don't make it that way. Am I shooting for a finished product? Well, no. I'm actually. That's not really gonna. I mean, if something happens, cool. But the idea is that I'm playing through as I'm creating it. Whereas somebody else may want to build it for a group, whatever, and then they have to wait possibly an entire year or some kind of monthly basis on top of creating the whole thing. Why bother, right? Why? Well, okay, I know why bother, because then those people have finished products for other people. I'm not worried about that so much because my product is for you. You get to see how I do it. You'll be able to do it yourself, right? If you're a solo dungeon player, this is a pretty easy way of going about it. All right. That being said, I'm going to put this away for right now, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw it here first, play through it, and write it up in the notebook as it's played out. All right. And the entries may just be literally just, X amount of whatever. Here's some gold. Have a nice day. All right. Before I get too crazy with it, here I will have this right here just for notes, just in case. I can write it on here, which I might do anyway. All right. Put this way. The dice will tell it all. And realistically, the dungeon itself, it doesn't have to make any sense. I'm not trying to make it make any sense. Which means it could be as gonzo as possible. I have no idea. I do, however, have... Now, I did do some prep. Now that I think about it. I ended up going through and kind of generating some encounters. So each area will have its own encounter list. That's for the random monsters, every 2 turns and things like that actually occurs. I also have some random dungeon dressings. Each room I'll roll on the dungeon dressing, and then I'll pretty much put that there. And in this case, we have urn, a brazier, an idol, a skull, some equipment that's usable, which will be just like standard equipment, like a backpack full of stuff, and then a statue. So whatever pops up, that's what we'll do. All right, we're going to get some size, some shapes, all that kind of stuff. Now in the first edition DMG, it does have some pre-generated shapes. I'm not really worried so much about that. I'm going to go ahead and start from table 5 and create the size, beginning size, and then we'll go from there. Give me a moment. I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer so you can watch what I'm doing. So first things first, like I said, we're going to start with table 5 and find out roughly the size and the shape. All right, now we will be beginning in a room. That's one of the stipulations. We begin with a room. some stairs going down. As far as like how the adventurers got here, well, I don't know. Let's just say it's in the surface level. There's a kind of a ruined wizard's tower. The wizard was it Yurag Zagoth or something like that. Anyway, it's a completely crumbled structure. It's moss covered. There's some stones occasionally. You can a vague circular outline, but there's no like hidey holes or anything like that. Nothing that's gonna like pop out from behind a wall or anything like that. Let's just say that some hunter from the village passed by, and he's gone. He's seen these ruins for all of his life, for 20, 30 years, and then suddenly, out of the blue, there's a flagstone has been moved for however it is. It's almost monolithic size. It's huge, massive stone. You see fresh dirt and all that kind of stuff. And there's a hole. What do you know? There's a hole. Of course, he sees this and skedadders, and next thing you know, our adventurers hear about it through a tale. While he's in his cups or whatever at the local tavern, he talks about how all of his life he sit there and say, you never saw anybody out there, you never done anything, oh my gosh, oh, it's so weird. And of course this perks up the ears of our adventurers, because hey, they're adventurers. What are they gonna do? They like looking at places. Amateur archaeologists, who knows? Gold, treasure, things of the unknown. It piques the interest. They want to go see it, so they do. And what they're going to do is they're going to find an entrance. Let's go ahead and discover what that first room is. All right, so roll d20. We have number 11. Number 11 is a rectangle, 20 by 30. Now, we're going to say these are 5-foot squares. Whenever I draw it up in the actual notebook, each square will be 10 feet. So, where is that? Yeah. 20 by 30. Okay, so we'll say 20 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, ideally, I have no idea what this is going to look like beyond the fact that it's roughly this big. I'll add all the doors, all that kind of fun stuff. And let's just say that, might as well go off. We'll say that at the stairs leading down. All right. And of course they can go, the idea is that it comes up and they go down. Anyway, so that's how large. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm done. 1 second. Of course, it's always good to have the ability to erase what you've done. Alright. 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 That's our size. Nothing fantastic. So, marching order, we'll say our fighter. He's going down. We will say the cleric. Oh yeah, a fighter, cleric, an elf, and a thief. And we'll say a thief takes up the rear. And yeah, and we'll say the elf is next. Alright, cool. Roughly like that. Alright. Go in. What do they see? First, let's determine if there are any, how many exits there are. And for that, we roll. A lot of these tables are d20. So it's 2. Number 2. It says up to 600 feet. Let's see now. 600 square feet. We got, what is this? 20 by 30. That's about up to 600. There you go. It's got one exit. All right, so you got one exit. So where's the exit's location? By the way, for rooms, it's going to be doors, unless you roll a d20. And for chambers, which are good, chambers just have passages. All right, so we got one door, and we will go to the door. And real quick, we'll find out the location. That's table number 2. Roll d20. And number 14, we have a head. All right, so we'll have a door, we'll say, right here. All right, so we'll put that door right there. Pretty easy. All right, now what kind of door is it? Now for this, I'm utilizing the 3.5 edition random door types. You can, hate me if you want as far as the 3.5 thing, but it's a good way to get what kind of door is it? Is it locked? Is it whatever? Granted, the characters don't know whether or not it's locked, so I'm going to hold off on what kind of door it is just for right now. It might become important later. Anyway, what do we got? Now, ideally, after that, we're going to find out what's beyond the door. Right? So here's a table right here. Space beyond the door. I'll go ahead and say that it's... I'm going to hold off on that. For right now, I'm going to hold off on that. Alright? Now, these guys have names, so right now I'm not worried about it so much until later. A fighter, he's got his torch, he's looking down. Okay, now we're gonna roll for the actual room contents. Okay, that's going to be table 5F. All right, it is a D20, and we have 11 empty. Now, as far as which isn't necessarily empty, is not really empty. So what we're going to do is, as they enter, we're going to see what kind of dungeon dressing we have. Looking at number 4, find a skull. Okay, that's not bad. We will stick a skull. And let me grab a... Let's just say there's a skull there. Why not? Maybe tucked in the corner over here. The end of the room, nothing seems to be... That's it. It's just fairly empty. It is going to be worked stone, and there's a door ahead. All right, now you already know that thief, he's going to be one to really check it out. Yeah, just because it could be locked, it might be locked. Actually, no, he wouldn't. He's going to be standing right there. Our fighter, he's going to go up and check the door. Let's see what happens. What we got. All right, so we're going to use the random door type. And it's a D100, so grabbing. All right. What do we got? We got 43, so we're looking at it's 43. Okay, it's just it's a wooden door. It appears to be stuck. What do you know? The fighter is actually pretty good at undoing stuck doors. Where is it? I might actually need... yes. I guess some character sheets would be in order at this point in time. And let's see now. Our fighter, his name is Giles Wake. Let's go ahead and... Okay, for a stuck door, let's double check because let's see now. I think that's going to be in the whatever you're actually doing your character creation, and we're gonna look for there we go. Open doors. We have. He's got an 18, so let's see now. He's gonna have a 5 and 6. All right, so you roll a d6, and 5 and below, it unstucks it. I rolled a 6. He isn't able to do it. So he tries it out. Doesn't really work. That's fine. You can actually do it again. We're not in any kind of hurry. Yeah, he makes it. He opens it up. Now, this is the point where we go ahead and check to see what is beyond the door. All right. I remember that's back at table 2. So we roll a d20 and see what happens. Could be a passage, could be another room. If it's another room, then hey, this is where we stop. All right. 17. It's another room. And just like that, we've completed our first room. Now, from here, I can create that room. That would be, for lack of a better term, room B. All right, we're labeling this room A. All right, and room A, this was a, what do we got? We have a skull. Is it human or humanoid? We'll call it 50-50. 50-50 chance. No, it is not a humanoid. Is it a monstrous skull? No. Well then. Okay, that makes it strange. All right, so it's not a humanoid, not so much a monster. Say some kind of, I don't know, animal? That seems pretty easy. Not an animal. It's actually an extreme no, so not an animal. I'll explain that later. Okay, so it's not a humanoid skull, at least. Not a, let's say an outsider. That seems probably more like, and I'm betting that's going to be the case. Yeah, I might as well just go ahead. Let's just say it's unrecognizable. Maybe it's in chunks, maybe it's in pieces. It just, you can, it's got a, socket, it's nostril. Maybe it's a dragon's skull. Not even a dragon skull. Wow. I'm dying here. I'm rolling too high. It's killing me. Those are a little too hot. Let's find out. Let's trade up a little bit. Okay, that's 17, so that's better. All right, fine. We'll say it's, I don't know, maybe a small dragon, maybe a cow. Who knows? It's unrecognizable as far as our adventure is concerned, so we're not really worried about it. So it's skull, and we'll put unknown, as in just the kind. All right, so the room was overall empty. Nothing was really in it. We have a door, one door, and the door itself is wooden. It was stuck, and it leads to what's going to be 1B. All right, so this is room 1A. That's it. Okay, so how do we write it up as far as the journal? All right, we have just an empty room, meaning there's no monsters or treasure or anything like that. And well, we'll say it contains, and we'll put skull in, we'll say, northwest corner. Skull. Yeah. Unidentifiable skull. We'll just say it's. I can't write for anything. It's killing me. All right. door. We'll go. Direction. I want to say it's like straight ahead from. Alright, so what we're going to do is, in the middle of our thing, we're going to say, now we know it was, what do we got? We got 20 by 30. Alright, so in here, it's just a matter of, by the middle, roughly middle of it, we'll go, say, right here, so 20 by 30. Say that the door just comes off a little bit and to the surface. Alright, and this is going to be room 1A. We have a door that is directly across. So that's it. Nothing else to it. That's all. Oh yeah, we can put. So we got any symbols for that? A skull. Not so much. But I mean, you can still put like a little skull shape. But that's it. Wooden door stuck leads to another room. We have no idea what's going to be there because that's for next time. All right. Ta-da! And it's actually just that easy. It's that quick. Make that one easier. And then you can go and you can clean up pieces. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll put the skull right here. So we got a little skull of unknowns. We don't know what it is, but we have one. Why not? And that's all. Alright, give me 1 second, then we'll look each other in the face again. Alright, all in all, the process was fairly quick. It just took a handful of rolls. Now, if you once you have monsters, then you can sit there and monsters and treasures and traps and tricks and all the fun stuff. It becomes a little bit harder. Well, not really harder. It's just a few extra rolls and you're done. Now, as far as the characters are concerned, I'll introduce them in the next video, so that we don't, because of all the intro. That's pretty much it. You don't really need a huge amount of stuff. We have a skull and a stuck wooden door. It's no longer stuck. They managed to open it, and then we'll figure out what's after that. Whether it's, and it could be a corridor, it could be another. Well, it's actually another room. What am I thinking? I already know it's going to be another room. So, oh yeah, we'll label this 1A. Alright, so now it's 1A. Jotted down in the notebook. Kind of anticlimactic, but here we are. That's it. See you next time. Oh yeah, I've been Mr. No One, and thanks for watching.